Hi, welcome back to Mechanic Garage. This time it's a bit of Kuga. We'll work on that because about a year ago when I got it, I dried it out because I had a water leak. I found the water leak and I did have my suspicions it had another. A couple of days ago, maybe a week, 2 weeks ago, I can't remember, we noticed the front passenger footwell was getting a bit moist. And by moist, I mean it had a puddle in it. And the mat was sodden. And this whole corner here, where it's lower, was like literally deep in water. This mat here is now cut it out because I fixed up behind the bulkhead. I've had a trim piece off. Got a fan heater in to dry this side out because this isn't too bad now. The back, this would have been probably about that deep because you've got the stowage bin. I don't know if you can see it. You've got a stowage bin underneath the floor. That was an inch deep in water. Then you've got the thickness of the foam and the carpet, and then you've got this trough so it doesn't sit in, and it's still damp now because it's dripping out of here. These little plastic bungs, I put a couple of little holes in so if it does leak again it can get out. But they are renowned for water leaks. They've got a water leak underneath this scuttle panel in these corners where the bulkhead and the inner wings and everything join. Now when I had the windscreen changed and the water leak in the front, I sorted all that out. It wasn't leaking there, but you can see the seam sealer cracks. So I cleaned it all up, dried it out, sealed it all, sprayed it all black again, and the leak into the boot. Now it's taken about a year to get through into there. Obviously it's the lowest point and it trickles down a corner. And you got this corner here as well. I noticed, I checked the other day, that there's like an insulation pad sits underneath there and that was wet. So that's higher than the floor. And you'd look down here, this was all wet through as well. And these like little rubber boots that have the wiring in were just full. It's all dry now, I've dried it all out. In the boot, same, this side, ever so slight moisture. This side, I've dried this a couple of times now. Now you can see, there you go, your glistening bit where it's wet. It turns out, yeah, there again, because it basically runs through there, down there, underneath there, and then ends up on the floor inside. But from looking online last year and ignoring it because I couldn't be bothered, was follow this all the way up, and underneath here, the seam between the roof and the body and the roof rails, again, sealant cracks. This side, there was ever so slight damp in this corner. It wasn't wet and it hadn't got through. There was a slight moisture. The carpet that side's all dry. It was this side that was soaking wet. So I'll get out a bit so you can see a bit more what's going on. Everything's stripped out and I've got a watering can because it's not coming in around the back light. So what I'm doing, I've tried it in various places until it starts coming in, and you work your way up from the bottom, nothing happens, then you get higher and higher and higher. You pour it all in there, simulate rain on the roof, runs down that channel, and the excess runs down there, down this, through all the backlight, which I tested that, poured it all into here first, nothing happened. Now, I'll zoom you in, see if we can see this. Here we can. There, look. See it pouring in. I've lost it again. See it with the light. So that means it's getting down the inside of this panel, which means it's running off the roof because that's where it came from. Now I could just seam seal all this up and stop it, but that's going to put the water somewhere else. What I need to do is stop it getting in the first place. Now the other problem is how to seal it, because it's up here. I need to pop the roof lining down, get to the screws for the roof rails, and go from there. Right, I was wrong actually. These plastic trims clip on, and then the screws go from there. I had a look underneath inside. There wasn't anything there, so we'll go gently. Get the rails off. Okay. Get the right size socket, it would help. I put the socket in the wrong place on the rail. Take both ends off because I'm taking one end out to seal it. I might as well do the other. Unless it shears a bolt like this one. No, we're good. Right, let's get that lifted off. Nothing drastic. I mean, that looks like a puddle, but it's not. That's a big blob of stuff. There is a tiny little crack here, which would run into the inside of this panel and run down the inside, hopefully. Now, this is the most common place for it, it said. So I'm going to see if any of this moves. Clean it all out. Yeah, there's a little bit of white there, look. There. Is that where it's cracked? But that bit there is main prime suspect. But I'll clean it up, dry it out, and see what happens. Oh, that all comes out, does it? Yuck, that's held in by the rail. So, yeah, that'll do me. Clean it up and dry it. Basically, need to dry all this. I don't think the seam further up goes. From what I've heard, sorry, what I've read, it's purely here. And it cracks. Yeah, there's definitely a crack in it there. Because I've got this side off, I'm going to do the other side at the same time, just because I don't want to have to do it again. The other side isn't bad. Hopefully it ain't going to rain while I've got it all in bits, because that would be typical. Need to dig it out, get a bit of black paint on it. Yeah, that's definitely a crack there. There you go, yeah, that. Has a crack in it. If it's getting into that, or is it just leaking around the screw holes? Because they've got a blob of, there's a sealant just gone dry on them. Right, let's dig it out and have a look. Right, the bits around the screw holes I'll dig out, because then I can reseal those. Just put a big blob of it on before I screw them back down. But that, they go into like little sealed cap things by the feel of it on the inside, like little plastic cup. This bit, see the little yellow, the white lines appearing in it. I don't know if you can see or not. I won't zoom in on that one, but that's going underneath there quite easily. Yeah, that's wet under there. You see the mucky line on it. You got the clean bit at the side where it's attached, but the middle bit where it's not. That bit there. So that has definitely been underwater. In fact, there's water in it if you squeeze it, digging it out. Bit of cleaner to get rid of the grease and moisture. Yeah, that definitely wasn't sealed properly. While we're actually here, look. That is all water that's crept through there. See the amount of water there? So it's definitely there. Absolutely, definitely where it's coming in. What I think I'll probably do is dig out this seam sealer here, and if there's a puddle behind it, it'll drain through, and then I can reseal it again. I've masked up around the edges, so I can just lay it in there. And I've stuck a couple of screws in. You can't quite see because of the angle, but there's these couple of screws in to store up, block the threads up. What I'll do before I put the rail back on is put a blob around the threads themselves and then screw through them. I don't want this drying before it goes in, before the threads go back in, bolts go back in, I know what I mean. But I've actually got a nice edge to work to here because of the tape. So normally I wouldn't have bothered and then I had to wipe it off everything. If you've seen in my videos before, you'd be like that, what are you doing that for? Well, the downside, I can't get into the edge of there properly. And that's where the put a blob there. I'll just get into that corner. You just have to squidge it into there. Get it up underneath the seam. Now there is a little bit in that corner there where it's got a dip. I peeled it out. And now I'm trying to think if I've got any black paint. I've got satin black, which for where it is, I think it'll be alright. I have smeared a little bit on the front one, but I thought there's no point in showing you that because it was oh, the sun's coming out now. Yeah, I just smeared on there, and when I clean up the edges a little bit when the tape comes off. And then there's a bit, I don't know if you can see it, down there on the windscreen one, and it's leaning you over on the tripod. Ugh. So yeah, a bit of sun for a change. Hopefully it ain't going to rain, because I don't need this to be raining. Alright, to leave that to dry, get the tape off and paint it. Right, that's the first bit done. Let's say it's satin black, but it's under the rail, so it doesn't really matter. It's all sealed, dried. It's done the same at the front there. This was only one tiny little crack, so I didn't bother digging it out, I just cleaned it. What I will do, like I say, is put a blob of sealant around the thread holes, then bang them back on. And I do the other side, and hopefully I get it done before it gets dark. Although I might leave the other side for now, just because it won't be good for drying stuff, because it's, what time are we on now? I ain't got a clue. It's got to be about 3 o'clock. So it'll be dark in an hour and a half, and although it said it was going to rain, it hasn't. Got a bit of blue sky. So I'll probably put this rail back on once that paint's dry. It's been on there about 5 minutes, so it's close enough, isn't it? And then we'll go from there. I've put little blobs of sealant on and filled the holes. So when you put the bolts through, they will go into, the sealant will go into the holes. Nice preparation, Mick. Let's do this without daubing it all over the bodywork. line the holes up to start with. Let's see where it's supposed to go from that, so I'll nip the front down a little bit. Do the same on the back, then just tighten them by hand, because it's alright doing them with a gun light, but you've no idea how tight they're actually going to be. Yeah, bastard. Didn't scratch the paint. Won't be the first scratch on this thing anyway. And in the countryside, you get hedges and people that won't let you through. And as you can see, it's immaculately clean. Let's get the two trim bits. That's not that it matters, but they're marked up left-hand rear and left-hand front. They're a bit more of a pain to get off than that. I can tell you that for now. Tell you that for free. Peter Kay, back in the day. Hopefully they'll stay on. Right, that's that side done, and I don't think I'm going to do the other side today. By the time I've packed up, I can't put the interior back in yet anyway, because it's all full of... It's all... I see, show you. I think I showed you, didn't I? Yeah. Yeah, because it ran down that side into there, filled that little rubber with water, and then ended up in the footwell. And then it gets very deep before you actually see it. So... Carpet's out and drying in the house as usual. Got some bit on the boiler, some of it in the blown air vent in the bathroom, some of it dripping in the airing cupboard, and a load of it dripping over the bath. Hopefully this will be dry by tomorrow. It's stopped dripping now. It was dripping quite badly earlier. Yeah, it's still damp. Still a bit damp, look, but it's bound to be. But if I leave this in for the next few hours, it's getting nice and warm all the way under there, so the water runs to the lowest point. That's dryish now. That was dripping before. Water runs to the lowest point, it'll come down there. I did stab a couple of little holes in these plastic things just to let it out, but I should have, I might reseal those and let water in from underneath otherwise. Because now hopefully I've sorted out the leak. So yeah, I'll have a tidy up, put all my junk away, because it's all, where are we? All over the floor. We ain't not got a wet vac, but I've got a carpet cleaner. So I started off just hoovering the water out, filled that 3 times, and it was still just crumbing back up through the carpet. So I thought I'm going to have to, excuse me, I'm going to have to dig it all out and dry it properly. So now, hopefully, I'm not pouring water on it just yet. Or shall I? It's all dry. I'm going to do. Because... No, I'm not, because I've just put that sealant in around the bolts, haven't I? No, I'll let that set. I did seal that corner in. But in hindsight, I did see a trickle, a little tiny bead of water on here. Where are you? I can't see what you're looking at because you're the way. On this back panel here. And that would run down and come out exactly here where it was looking like it's coming through the sealant. But I dug that out anyway and resealed it. Get the seam opened up. Oh, get it down to the open seam, sorry. And then get a good daub in the corner. But I'm wondering if it's coming from here, which meant it leaking through from up here. But it's all dry. It's dry inside. You're good camera work, Mike. Got everything in the way. So I'm hoping now, it's definitely coming up from up there anyway, because when you poured it there, it just ran in down the inside and wherever it got through. But pouring it from here, sort of here downwards, wasn't doing. There was no evidence of it getting in anywhere until I got up to here. Because of course you start at the bottom, work your way up, and then when you start seeing it go through, it's somewhere between there and where you were. So they're prime suspect. They have been a known point on them. That side, as I say, was nowhere near as wet, so I will do it, but not today. In fear of repeating myself over and over, I'll call it a day to get everything dried out, and I'll put it back together. Whether I'll continue and put it back together on this video, I don't know. If you do, you'll see more. If you don't, like, comment, subscribe. There's a bit more water leak sourcing on this car from a year ago when the drain pipe from the scuttle ended up trapped inside the footwell after it had the subframe off for a clutch. I didn't do that. Alright, it's the following day. I ain't done the roof rails, but I have got the interior back in, and ironically it's chucking it down again now. It's all back in. Needs a good hoover out, but it's just raining too much to bother and everything's getting wet, which is kind of what I was avoiding. Yeah, this corner here was literally, you could see water pooling here on top of the mat. It was that bad. So it's all done, all back in. And what I should have shown you is we've got the rear storage there, and that, God, it looks minging, needs a good hoover. Kids, grandkids, dogs. That was 2 inch deep in water. But because you can't see it, it didn't get noticed straight away. All been well. You can't really see it all now, but other than a bit of condensation down there, there's no water. I checked this corner this morning, put it all back together. So hopefully that's it. And good old British weather. I'll do the, oh no, I was going to say it looked like I scratched it when I dropped the ratchet, but I didn't. I'll do the other roof rail another day, because that one's, if anything, damp, not leaking. So yeah, thanks very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and hopefully gonna get back on with that soon. There was the plan, but some parts haven't arrived. No, hang on, I'm talking rubbish. I had more work to do on that, but the parts haven't arrived. Engine mounting and bottom dog bone. This, I've got to pick some parts up for. And I had a bit of wiring to do at the back end, replace crank sensor wiring. That never happened either, because of the rain. So thanks again. I'll catch you in another video. Cheers.